and welcome to Video Game Talk. I'm Rich Alvarez.
And I'm Garrett Allen.
And
that guy.
Yeah, we got a few things to talk about today. Guys, we were only 4 days away from Christmas, if you care. And if you don't care, then happy holidays. And if you really don't care, happy December. And if you just are like, over everything, then hi, welcome to Video Game Talk. Anyways, we're going to be talking Far Cry 5, PUBG, finally being its legitimate version, even though we've all been playing it for forever, and Fallout, VR. Garrett, you got a few cool things to talk about. We've got a good show coming up here. So I thought a good way to to kind of get started here we were just going to show some of the gameplay. Like IGN has had all this nice exclusive gameplay, and so we're gonna like go into that a little bit, and we'll stop when we get bored and want to talk about something else. So, anyways, yeah, let's get right into it. And as usual, we're gonna be doing all of our topics. If you want to do your live questions, we will be saving the last 10 to 15 minutes at the very end to answer your live questions here on YouTube. And if you're not watching live, just leave a comment in the comment section below, and we'll try to get to it ASAP. All right, Garrett, here we go. Far Cry 5. Right after this ad brought to you by PUBG, which is another thing we'll talk about. Xbox One, except we played on PC because we are not scrubs. There we go. All right, so here's some Far Cry 5 for you. His dog.
I remember now, this is the one set in the Montana wilderness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I haven't watched any of this footage yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it right out. I like the Far Cry games. I was in love with the first one. But so far, Far Cry to me has yet to really stand out as something that's like really like unique or riveting in its own respect. So, or you know what, that's incredibly not fair to say, because I am not at all critical of the genre. It's super fun. Oh, look, these guys getting hit by a tractor. Or more like, I guess this is the best way to say it. I'm waiting to see what distinguishes this Far Cry from the others.
Yeah, for sure. I think it looks pretty good. I think my favorite so far has been Far Cry 3. I really liked the stakes involved in the plot, and then also just the kind of like the first real taste of freedom. And then also, what was the one after Far Cry 3 where you were like in the prehistoric times?
Far Cry Primal?
Yeah, that was hella good too. I didn't really play a whole lot of Far Cry 4.
Far Cry?
Yeah.
That's all good.
Well, I'll actually turn this down a little bit because I think we'll have trouble hearing you when it's that loud. There we go. That's good enough. All right, yeah, it definitely looks like something that, I mean, I like Far Cry already. This one does look like it has some nice, unique features, so I'll definitely be playing this one as well. What do you think, Garrett?
Yeah, no, I like it. I don't know how I feel about them implementing fishing. I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess I'm glad. Okay, so I will say this. I'm with you on the fact that Far Cry 3 was, I think, gameplay-wise, one of the best. That being said, Far Cry 3 also had maybe one of my least favorite protagonists in all of video games.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh my god, that little prick. I couldn't stand him. So that was unfortunate. But, because you really want to like who you're playing, but the action in Far Cry 3 was super, super dope. I like what I'm seeing here in Far Cry 4. I do. It looks Far Cry 5. It looks a lot like Far Cry 4 is what I was going to say. But man, some of those particle effects, especially with the dynamite blown up, seem really, really cool. And I see it looks like we're kind of starting this. How should I say it? Like we're starting this whole this similar sort of take a checkpoint to advance the plot, take another checkpoint, you know, kind of zone of control thing that we saw in Far Cry 4. And we're seeing another extrapolated version of that, which honestly I'm fine with. It does support my initial theory that Far Cry 5 will be good. It will be good. It will be good. It will be a lot of fun to play, but it will really just be like a polished version of 4. But that being said, like what I'm looking at right here, like I'll play the shit out of this. This looks great.
Yeah.
Far Cry 4 was not a bad game, and I think I would almost dare say didn't quite hit that popularity that I think it deserved. Also, I like the idea of kind of a. I mean, what is this? So what is our setting here? Kind of like a softcore revolution set in like the wilderness of the north.
Yeah, like kind of like North Middle America sort of feel.
Right. I'm really hoping for like some. Oh my.
All right, so I think we're back on. Not really sure what that was. I just like my whole system had a major freak out. So sorry for the whatever. I don't even know. YouTube might count this as a separate video now. Who knows? So in the case that happens, I'll call this part 2. But anyways, we were in the middle of watching some gameplay, so I'm just going to continue that gameplay. And what I was going to say, here we go. What I was going to say though is I just mentioned that we look a little bit weird, and that is because of course Garrett and I are not in the same room. I am, you know, at my house, and he's at his house. And so
I'm downscaled a bit too, which is fine because I honestly have the flu right now, if you can't tell from my voice, and I've got a very, very pale and sunken complexion, and I am okay being in low res today, so that is all good. So that's all good. Anyway, back to kind of what I was feeling about this game or whatnot. I am, I didn't stop the footage, at least on my end. You know, I've just been continuing to watch it. I do like what I'm seeing. A highlight being these really, really, really cool, what is it? Plain dog fights that I'm looking at a little bit at about the 7-minute mark or 8-minute mark. Super big. That's a really cool moment for me because honestly, one of my big, I guess, concerns watching the first half was, well, shoot, where are all my cool military vehicles that I loved so much in the other games? You know, where are the cool, like, where are the Humvees? Where's all the other crap? You know, where's all that fun stuff that I missed out on? I really liked, you know, some of the earlier Far Cries for kind of the traversable gun vehicles. A lot of them were very the same, and you know, who knows? But yeah, now that I'm seeing, like, okay, we've got, you know, armed aircraft for some World War II kind of style dogfights. They've clearly expanded kind of like hunting and fishing and, you know, the survival elements into the game a little bit more, which I did like. I do. That is cool. I like the idea that you're gonna have to work for that a little bit more. So those things are all looking pretty new. Other than that, it looks, you know, kind of like a polished version of the, you know, kind of zone of control. You know, take the fort, continue the plot, can take a few more forts, continue the plot, take a few more forts, continue the plot, kind of Far Cry formula, which is fun. I do enjoy that. But I can see that they very much built this whole sort of like take back from this weird revolutionary cult group as a central plot point with that in mind. So, who knows? What about you? Where are you at? Also, I should say, big points for having the dog. Big points for having the dog. That's a big plus for me. So that's all well and good.
Yeah, if you enjoy games like Fallout where you can have a dog and go around town with like just your man's best friend, anything like that, awesome. Everything I'm seeing here looks like a huge improvement over Fallout 4 for me personally. I know I probably
Fallout or Far Cry. Fallout or Far Cry.
I mean, what did I say? I meant.
You said Fallout 4.
I meant Far Cry 4.
Ice cream break.
Fallout 4 is very different.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's fascinating that you would look at Far Cry and think it's different than Fallout. That's a bit of an obvious observation, but I'll take you at your word there. All right, cool.
No, what I mean is that Far Cry 4, you know, I felt like, to me, that was a little bit disappointing compared to Far Cry 3, and I feel like Far Cry 5 here is, at least it looks right now like it's an improvement over both.
Systems and graphics, certainly. Also, can you kick our audio up a little bit? I'm listening to the feedback right now, and it's not getting there.
Turn everything up?
Yeah. You in particular. Yeah, get your fancy audio board out. Twist some knobs, my dude. Twist some knobs. I'm gonna get some ice cream while you do that. Ready? Live on YouTube. Totally tasteless. There we go.
My audio has been turned up, so hopefully that reflects.
Yeah, it sure has. Okay, yeah, now we sound like people. That's great. Just in time for me to make chewing noises with my mic. That's cool. All right, there we go. All right. Very good. Okay, so I don't know that I have too much else to say on Far Cry 5. We're gonna see what it is. The gunfights look cool. The gunplay looks polished. Really nice looking game. I'm being interested to see some system requirements.
Brought to you by this ad.
It's a suite of 4K TVs.
You stop playing other people's ads for free, my dude.
That's probably a good place to stop. I don't think we're gonna see much more than that.
Right.
I mean, as far as like new stuff, so that's probably good. So I'm gonna get rid of that. And I like Battlefront, but we're not talking about Battlefront, so I should probably switch to something else.
Yeah, we spent some time talking about Battlefront, so that's all good. You do like PUBG. You do like PUBG, and I think is that going to be our next topic of conversation?
It sure is. There we go.
Yeah. All right. Well,
good job. I'm going to fit that to screen, and then I'm going to make you big again. There we go. Hooray! All right. Hey, look, guys, I made it to number 6. It's actually my record so far is number 6. I have not been able to get higher than 6 ever, and this was like a week or two ago as well. So, yep, impressive. Number 6. I've been 6. I've been 7. I've been 8. But most of the time I play, I'm in like the high teens at the end. But yeah, 6 is where I got. How about you, Garrett?
I'm about there too. I've yet to win. No chicken dinner for little old me. But yeah, I hover. I got to a rank 4. That was team rank 4. In a fours match with some of our dudes. So that's cool. But yeah, I have yet to get good on the PUBG sort of spectrum. So I look forward to that. That should be all good.
So what can we look forward to in the now final version of the game?
Well, we can look forward to you eating live streamed.
Awesome.
Well, here's the thing. As far as like what's published on the as far as like what we were kind of expecting to see, we would expect to see, and I'll just preface it by saying that I'm surprised to see that 1.0 dropped when it did. The idea would being obviously PUBG suffers from a multitude of problems right now. One being hackers, being just kind of consistent struggle to battle against the aimbotting and kind of just the spectrum of cheater players, especially when it comes to the non-American servers. So that's tough, but also somewhat kind of indicative of the growing pains that you would expect of a relatively modest game with a modest development staff that subsequently blew up into the national effing craze that PUBG is. It also continues to have some server and some matchmaking problems, and we have seen that for sure. Continues to have optimization problems. Really requiring heavy duty machines to even get moderate performance out of it. And
that's the part that I hate the most, because like I get it. It's a huge they're running tons of servers, 100 people per match. I get that.
It's ambitious. It was ambitious. It was always ambitious.
I just
not to mention this 8-kilometer map thing.
Yeah. So it is a lot to load. It's just a little bit insane, because like when I run Old Republic, I thought my computer got pretty hot. Most games, Overwatch, Rocket League, my computer can handle it fine. It doesn't overheat at all. Old Republic, I was like, that gets a little hot. But when I turn my cooling fan on below, totally fine. With PUBG, it's like a microwave immediately.
Yeah, it's not good. It really leans very heavily on that video RAM. And then I think there was one other point that I wanted to make. Hitboxing and movement were all things that we had hoped to see improved in the 1.0 release, and everything that I mentioned prior to this. Have they fixed a lot of this? They did a pretty good job. I would say they are exactly consistent with where I would expect them to be in development, considering I was experiencing all these problems about 2 months ago. the 1.0 release is, I'll start with the negative opinion. The 1.0 release is underwhelming to me in the fact that it doesn't feel like a deserving 1.0 release. It feels like there's still so much other basic stuff that needs to be done to this game before we can really call it a 1.0 release. And I feel like they're stamping the 1.0, sort of mantra on it to really get around the fact that this is more or less when they promised to have it done, and less so the fact that this is when it is actually done. However, the game has insane popularity, and I have no doubt that the team is going to continue to work diligently on, kind of referencing and correcting and, ironing out these problems as time goes on. So I have a ton of faith, just an infinitesimal amount of faith in the PUBG crew and their community to eventually kind of get this game to a point where it's, really, really deserving and really, really good, just from a strictly technical perspective. Solve their problem with the latency, get those servers, kicking again, be it from a netcode perspective or just, more servers. I'm not, I don't claim to be an expert on this, but I do know that, push has got to kind of shove in one way or another. But the new mechanics and the new map, as far as like the new content that they do, they added vaulting and they added their new desert map, and both look pretty solid. I'm encouraged by both. So
there's much more eyes on it now with the there's the 1.0 here and then the Xbox release as well. There's much more eyes on it, and I feel like that's going to put the pressure on the team to definitely soften a lot of these sharp edges, as you will. I definitely already enjoyed the game. I'm sure the 1.0 fixes a few things like you said, but I give it about another year, sadly, before it's like really the game we want it to be.
Yeah. Will we play it in the meantime? I certainly will. I think it's super playable in the meantime, but this is why, it's kind of a two-pronged review for me, because on one hand, I want to say, like, is PUBG remarkable? Is PUBG fun? Does PUBG have something really, really unique and cool to offer, even in spite of technical problems? Yes, absolutely, and it's deserving of your attention, especially at a $30 price. It's become a cultural and social phenomenon. You need to not click your cutlery near your mic. But on the flip side, would I like to see, a studio that's claiming to have a 1.0 release, that's claiming to have a finished game here, be a little bit further along on what we consider kind of bare bones shit? Like the optimization, the netcode, and just sustainability and playability on a more rudimentary front. Yeah, I would also say that too. So, reserved optimism is what I greet PUBG's future with.
Okay, yeah, sounds about right. It's like you said, it's hard to judge it because it is so much fun, and I lose myself for hours in it. But it's beyond perfect, so it's kind of hard to compare it to something, because usually when games are that badly unfinished and broken, it's like unplayable. But it's 100% playable, so it is.
I mean, it works. It works. It's you can see the seams, and it wears its imperfections pretty plainly. But yeah, fun experience, and I think that's a back to basics sort of analysis there, just on the idea that, like, if you build it, people will come, provided it is fun.
Yeah. All right, I guess that's all we can really say about PUBG for now. Do we want to dive into the deep, dark, scary world of Bethesda VR?
Well, I can certainly speak on it. I had a chance to play it on my HTC fairly recently.
Oh, awesome. Well, I think we'll just dive right in it. And remember, as far as I know, right, so Fallout VR, or was it Skyrim VR? Well, they just recently released both Skyrim and Fallout VR. I know that they released Skyrim VR the same day as Skyrim for Switch.
Right, but that was a PlayStation VR exclusive.
Oh, okay.
For the time being.
Was the Fallout VR exclusive to PlayStation as well for a short time?
No. Fallout 4, I believe, is exclusive to the HTC Vive.
Oh, okay. So they flipped it.
Yeah.
They flipped it. So how has your experience been in? Are you feeling immersed in the wasteland?
It's a lot. It's a lot to run. I mean, my rig is juicy. You can attest to this. That
I like this hat.
I've got a bomb rig. And just even getting it to the point where Fallout 4, I feel like, is running stably and at a resolution that I feel is like not an eyesore, is a little bit of a challenge. So that thing first. But there's absolutely no denying that there's something super cool here. The controls, it's so obvious that just the hand controls are just still, I don't even say a work in progress, but no one has quite figured out that way to really like make you feel like like you're able to like walk around super immersed and have like really contiguous movement in a VR setting. But I did enjoy, there's a few different modes of transportation. There's kind of a short burst teleport mode, and then there's a mode where you use your hand on the trackpad to actually like give force feedback, and it's 360 degrees, so that's pretty cool. And that was the one that I ended up using. Movement, I haven't really 100% gotten used to, and that I think is going to be like the big make or break for a lot of people. It's just the idea of like, for those people who can reconcile how to move correctly and find a movement setting that works for them, this game will be great. For those that can't really wrap their head around like how the movement system works or really well, you're going to struggle with this game. But as an interesting kind of double back, I will say that the shooting is very good. I haven't gotten very far in the game, so I'm only at pistol and rifles sort of level. But I was really impressed to see that like the iron sights, like looking down the iron sights in real time, it is totally functional and everything is scoped out. So there's definitely a cool bit of realism there. You know, being able to look down the sights of a gun and shoot it and have, you know, a creature respond in time is pretty dang satisfying. So I will say that the game excels extremely well when it comes to shooting. The VR system does not do a great job of demonstrating weight very well. So as a result, some of the heavier weapons in the game, like the as soon as you get above rifles into like the miniguns and the rocket launchers and stuff like that, a little bit immersion breaking in the fact that they obviously move completely weightlessly with your Vive controller.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's like, I don't know if I would prefer like an alternative where like it intentionally slowed down the response. I feel like that would be super hard to keep track of. So I feel like that's just the way it's going to be. And I get to just complain about it being immersion breaking, but also mention that they probably made the right call on how that works.
I feel like eventually they'll get like they'll find a way to make the controllers like feel heavier, you know, like depending on your weapon, you know, like not
yeah, that's
10 years from now,
intense.
you know, it'll be like
10. Try like 100, you know. But obviously there's some, you know, some sort of force feedback is going to be necessary. I think really in reality you're just going to start to see games be a little bit more tailored to smaller weapons that don't break that immersion. But obviously, if Fallout 4 was initially a VR game, I don't think you'd see any heavy weapons in it.
No, I think that, I mean, I like that they converted it. I think that was the easiest thing for them. I would have preferred if they made a specific Fallout game that was for VR, and you know what I mean, like, and then they could have done like what you said and tailored it more to the VR experience. Because
I actually hoped they hadn't, to be perfectly frank, because that's what they did with Doom, and Doom VR is not that great. The Doom VR experience is really shallow, feels very tailored, and feels like, you know, like a super shortened, hyper simplified arcadey shooter version that clearly didn't get enough attention.
Well, maybe they should do it correctly then.
Well, they should, but why would they? The VR market is so small.
That's true. That's true.
There's not enough people out there with HTC Vives to like really, you know, drop AAA money on a game development.
Well, I mean, so like you said, I mean, it might be a cool experience, but like you said, you've got a beefy system and you're even having trouble running it smoothly. Like, so
yeah,
who's gonna buy this and have like, it's like, okay, I have spent $3,000 on this and it's perfect. Or, you know, like not everybody wants to do that, you know. So.
Yeah, I would say that probably only 30 or 40% of gamers even have a rig right now that they can even plug a VR into. So that's majority of the market right there. And then second of all, you got to find somebody who's willing to drop, you know, the $500-600 necessary for the HTC Vive. So until that price drops to like $200, I don't think we're going to see original AAA releases.
No, which is not
for the Vive.
practical.
It's not. It's not economic, and it won't get the attention it deserves. Meanwhile, I will say, I'll go on the record and say that I'm completely okay with AAA adaptations. I am so okay with AAA adaptations. Much like we got in this Fallout setting. I'm going to continue to experiment with movement, and obviously that is the challenge in VR, in development, in playing, in everything. It's how the hell do you move? How the hell do you interact with the world, especially a world that wasn't designed from the ground up for VR? You'll note, as somebody who's played in my VR before, that most games that are designed from the ground up for VR have being stationary as a central plot element.
Very true.
Yeah, Job Simulator, or even like here's a classic example. Hover Junkers. You remember that game? Hover Junkers is this like Mad Max style hover car racing game, and guess what? The car moves. You don't. Yeah. It's really just a super, duper different way to experience that. So, has Fallout 4 done the best that it can in that whole ish? Yeah, probably for the time being. Is it fun? It's very fun. I will say that I absolutely got anxiety the first time that I saw even just little rad roaches running at me, because in VR they look big. They look big, and it's a thing.
Scary.
Yeah, so I am not excited for walking through green fog and having ghouls pop out at me, because that's going to be a for real moment. That's a little bit of a jump scare. I'm pretty good with jump scares, and that's a little bit of a jump scare for me in the PC, just on monitor version. So I can only imagine what that's going to be like in freaking VR. So yeah, no, that's good. I'm going to continue to play it and whatnot. It is just exhausting sometimes to play a game for like a really, really long time in that kind of setting. And I'm not a great game marathoner anyway. You know this from anyone LAN nights. It's kind of like a once in a blue moon thing for me. I game a lot, but only in bursts. You're much better at the long haul stuff than I have, but VR takes it out of both of us. VR, we're like in there for an hour, and we're like, what the fuck year is it? Like, what happened?
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Of course, if you want the true fully immersion wasteland experience, there's only one way to truly get into that, and that is, of course, at Wasteland. And
Wasteland Weekend. Yes, I knew where you were going with that.
So good, so good, so good. Can't get any better than that because it's real life.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess as a last point on Fallout 4, I'll mention that I don't like melee in this game. They didn't do a great job with melee attacks, which is fine. I don't play melee characters in Fallout 4. I don't know why a lot of people would. They did an amazing job with that in this game. It feels full-blown like, you know what scene I'm talking about.
Awesome.
Mario 64 Ice and Alpha IRL. It's basically just that all the time. But the fact that melee doesn't feel that satisfying makes me concerned for the PC release of Skyrim VR.
Yeah, because that's definitely, 80% melee, because what else are you going to do? Throw some fireballs and shoot an arrow.
Right.
Yeah, that's just an
magic point. I'm sure will be really fun in Skyrim.
Skyrim feels fantastic on the Switch, let me tell you. Holy shit.
Yeah, and it looks really good too. That was the thing that really did it for me. I was surprised that like here we have the Skyrim on Switch, and it looks almost as good. It looks like it's right up there with like the PlayStation 4. That I think shocked a lot of people.
Yeah, it looks and plays amazing, and just the I know that like a year ago when they announced it, I was kind of complaining. I was like, but like but really being able to sit on the toilet and still play Skyrim is an amazing experience. Let me tell you.
I don't own. I finally caved and got Stardew Valley for the Switch.
Oh, nice.
Which I will say you can really tell that it was intended for a mouse and keyboard, but So that hasn't been as fun. Micromanaging the farm isn't really good. So what I have done is I have built a fishing farm. I start on the main fishing map because I've noticed that fishing is actually easy as shit on the Skyrim. So I'm just going to run a fishing farm on the Switch.
Yeah, definitely when you convert a PC game to any console, it's going to come with some minor downgrades. I don't feel that way with Bethesda's games most of the time. Certainly, I think Skyrim lends itself to console very well, and on the Switch, it's just amazing. You know, of course, if you own a Switch, and you do, I know, but I mean for people, when I say you know how easy it is to play on your TV, take it off, play on the go, and to be able to do that with Skyrim is something I didn't think I'd be able to do I didn't think that there would be a portable Elder Scrolls game that was an actual Elder Scrolls game for a long time.
Yeah, like you didn't imagine that we'd see like an Elder Scrolls DS release, because obviously that would never work from a licensing perspective. So you know, here we are able to you could shit and play Skyrim. What a time to be alive! What an awesome time to be alive!
And Skyrim at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, that's super good. But it's also worth mentioning that Bethesda is not only like a tried and true, very very veteran, regimented developer at this point.
Give them Star Wars.
I know, right? That was a conversation for last week, but yes. Whereas Stardew Valley was literally a one-man effort. One man has created Stardew Valley and given the world the beauty that is Stardew Valley. I've had such a stressful week, and I've been playing the shit out of Stardew Valley. And I'm willing very much to forgive the idea that with that game, which was developed with mouse and keyboard in mind, doesn't convert perfectly, because I found a niche. I've found that it works. And I've already accepted the fact that maybe I don't work the best with a controller to begin with. So, you know, I'll concede that point.
I mean, you know, I've for my whole life, I've been going back and forth between consoles and computers, and I know what I like on consoles, and I know what I like on computers. In certain games, like especially, I would say the thing that I think is the most non-convertible for me is RTSs. Like, I loved playing like Command and Conquer and StarCraft as a kid on computer. If you try to play the console versions, like they made StarCraft for Nintendo 64, it did not work worth beans.
Quite famously a huge disaster.
Yeah, you just there's so much you need to do with the mouse. Select your armies, go and do all this crap, your hotkeys, select this thing, move, there's just way too much to be able to convert it to a controller. It's just, RTSs do not work.
Grid War already uses the whole keyboard.
Yeah.
Grid War already uses like the whole keyboard. I could never imagine. I have no idea whose idea that was.
You must construct a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
serial PS2 ports, jamming them into the front of your Nintendo 64.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
It does not work. I hear laughing in the background.
Yeah, that's my hysterical fiance.
She's hysterical, I tell you, hysterical.
I have no idea what sort of madness has engulfed her this time. Bless her. Anyway,
so VR, it's got a little bit of ways to go, and hopefully it'll pick up popularity, so that way they can start optimizing it, maybe for smaller machines, and hopefully so that it just gets more popularity.
Cheaper first.
Yeah,
cheaper first and foremost. Then we'll see more peripherals, we'll see more releases, we'll see more attention given to it. Everything about VR and its success comes down to it being cheaper. If it can get cheaper while maintaining the same quality of content, then undoubtedly we will see like a lot more polish and a lot more innovation go into VR systems. Be it, cool additional peripherals, or extra attention paid to games that are tailored a little bit more towards the awkward movement limitations that are VR. And I don't know, but I will say that Fallout 4 in VR, while imperfect and a little bit of a run correctly, once it's up and running, is I dare say I'll call it like a really good indicator for VR's future.
I am going to I think this is a good place to end the VR discussion. And before we move on, I am going to talk for just a couple of minutes about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because I know I just released that Let's Play of it, and I was just kind of goofing with it a little bit, and as many of you know, and I don't think that they watch these streams, so I think I'm okay. As many of you guys know, I am a Nintendo ambassador, so I am required to do a little bit of Let's Playing of those Nintendo games. So without going anywhere which direction on it, I just want to say, like, I have enjoyed the Xeno series since it was Xenogears on the original PlayStation. And what happened with Takashi, of course, is that he did not get along. I could go into a huge story, but short story is he did not get along with Hirobu Sakaguchi, so he left Squaresoft, and he went to Namco to make Xenosaga, and then he didn't get along with Namco, so then he went to Nintendo, and now it's Xenoblade. So the only thing that connects these series market-wise is the Xeno title. Xenogears, Xenosaga, and now Xenoblade. They all are technically part of the same universe and have similar themes. They, of course, cannot have the same characters. They have to change the name of the world every time because, again, copyright. So, does it feel as good as the other Xeno games? Yes. If you are a fan of the Xeno games, then you will probably enjoy Xenoblade Chronicles 2. However, Xenoblade Chronicles X, which was already the sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles, that is just a little bit better than Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So if anybody on here watching cares, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, if you're a fan of the series, it's worth getting. If you've never played a Xeno game in your entire life, you probably won't understand it whatsoever. And I highly recommend just starting with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 from 7 years ago. If you're gonna, or hey, if you're me, go back to Xenogears on the PlayStation. But I know most of you probably won't want to do that. It's a good time, but I don't recommend it for non-fans of the series, and that's something that I could not say in that video, but I will say now. All right, Garrett, next topic.
Well, I will say that the new Xenoblade, I'm actually not a fan of it, but I don't want to pontificate on that. But I will say that if we're gonna keep it topical, I'm a little put out by the fact that we have a day one $30 season pass. That's a little deflating to me. But I don't want to linger on this topic for obvious reasons. So let's move on. I have we have a few things that we can discuss relevant to the Steam sale. We had two kind of releases that were on my radar that kind of dropped down today that I think are a little bit niche and PC, but not so much relevant to the consoles. I can talk about those, or do you have something else in mind?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Don't clank your silverware.
I'm done. I'm just gonna put that away.
All right, cool. So I have I have some I kind of got the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good news. Well, I guess the ugly news is that the Steam Winter Sale is upon us, and I mean that facetiously. In the fact that of course, whenever Steam gets its sale game going, things get ugly economically in terms of a lot of money spent and a lot of worthwhile deals out there. I could expand all day on what I think is and is not worth your time in the Steam sale. I will say that we've got some pretty good deals on the Steam hardware right now. That Steam Link is back down to $5 again. That's a pretty sick piece of hardware for $5. The Steam controller, looking pretty sweet at $33. I do own one. And I will say that it's there's a handful of games out there that I would never consider playing with the controller that I can play with my Steam controller, and that's pretty cool. So
you were replaced by the Steam interface for a second there.
Yeah, I was going to say we see the expert OBS maneuverings of a very, very pre-rehearsed and prepared Rich Alvarez over here, so that's cool.
Whoops.
That's all good. Planet Coaster 75% off right now. Oh my God, get it!
Yeah, that is still a ton of fun. I also just saw that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is down to 35 from 60.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I'll probably get it now.
Oh yeah. So there's a lot of really good stuff. Go check it out. You guys know the drill. As far as that's concerned. The deals that are evident won't be super they won't be terribly hidden. But we see a lot of good ones out there.
Actually, good thing you brought up Planet Coaster, because that just reminded me. I don't know if we've ever talked about it on this show, but the same team that made Planet Coaster, that development team, they're the ones developing the new Jurassic World game that comes out the same day as Jurassic World 2, and it's basically create your own Jurassic Park, And they've had a game like this in the past, Jurassic Park Operation Genesis from 20 years ago, which was okay. But this one, oh man, with the Planet Coaster
kind of
team,
a pretty shameless Sim Zoo reskin.
Yeah.
But dinosaurs, so people bought it.
Yeah, this one though, Planet Coaster team, I cannot wait because I already love Planet Coaster, but being able to make a Jurassic Park on the level that Planet Coaster was, like, just sign me up already. I'm there.
Yeah, I'll just try to beseech to our audience here the idea of, like, if you're not familiar with the level of detail that you can go into on Planet Coaster, do yourself a favor, check out 5 minutes of YouTube video. If you've ever held in your heart an iota, an ounce, an atom of love for the Roller Coaster Tycoon series, understand that Planet Coaster is its most beautiful revival. And it is well worth the attention of anybody who has fallen in love with that franchise. That being said, I can think of no developer, not a single one, that I would rather be seeing develop this new Jurassic Park Builder game. Frontier is literally my first choice, and so yeah, all hopes and prayers go to them, because geez, if they could accomplish something like they accomplished with Planet Coaster, but on a Jurassic Park AAA level, go home. We'll have something really special here. Two games that I really wanted to talk about because they've been getting a little bit of press and on the PC world is again the bad and the good. For the bad, where's my Steam Spy? There it is. Okay, cool. Hello Neighbor. Hello Neighbor for $30, released as of December 8th. Was initially looking to be a really, really cool kind of, I guess, cartoony foray into the kind of procedural horror market. If you're unfamiliar with the game, then what it is basically you have a crazy serial killer neighbor, and it's kind of your job to very slowly at night during preordained moments of the day kind of sneak into his house and uncover him without being uncovered and whatnot. And it boasted a sequence of really, really promising trailers that painted it as a, like a really, really, really interesting looking suspense game. Unfortunately incurred just a disastrous launch, which sucks. I hate to see small studios get kicked in the nads like this. I really do. It breaks my heart. But the game is very inconsistent. It's very buggy, and it's very, very hard to even tell like what the most core mechanic, which is when the neighbor can and cannot see you. Imagine like a game where like Alien Isolation or Amnesia, where it was super inconsistent whether or not you were behind cover or were not, sometimes you'd be standing there in broad daylight, the monster would walk right by you, and sometimes you'd be sitting completely cowered up in the corner and you'd die immediately. Like, that's no fun. So we've been suffering for a bit of that. Who knows if this is patchable? We're going to need to see, but keep your eye on that. In the meantime, I wanted to give a kind of a gloomy sort of warning to those people who may have been watching Hello Neighbor, as it is sadly a bit undercooked. Save your money until it's a little bit more ready to go. However, on the promising side, something that I guarantee almost none of you have ever heard of, we got a little title called They Are Billions. And those of you who know me and a lot of my previous diatribes know that I'm kind of from the Broodware era of real-time strategy games. And henceforth, highly technical, totally audacious, overly speedy, super stressful, isometric real-time strategy games are, in my interests. They Are Billions is looks to be a really cool new successful foray into that one, also from an indie studio. And again, it makes my heart sing when I see a small group of passionate individuals just nail it from a design perspective. If you are looking for a super challenging, really, really, really cool, just absolute ball crusher of an RTS that's going to put every single one of your old Brood War talents or every single one of your self-proclaimed real-time strategy expertise into check. Check out They Are Billions. You'll have a lot of fun losing everything and dooming humanity to a horrifying plague and apocalypse. So there we go. I think that's all that's really worth mentioning from the sale perspective. Just go check it out. There's always that possibility. that you'll find something you like. This is your standard, reminder to, if you are a regular Steam user and you don't have a wish list, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, you gotta get that wish list going, because you never know when there's random stuff all the time on these. One of the Steam sales, like every Final Fantasy game they had was only like $5, and they're usually like at least $20 to $30. So that was good for me. I was like, oh, okay, Steam sale, 7, 8, 9, like.
Right. Yeah.
So that was good. Why not play games I've already played 100 times in my lifetime? Like, just get them again. That's what's so great about Steam sometimes, is that I'll buy them,
for sure,
and I'll touch them once. And
that's it. And sometimes that's cool. Hey, at the end of the day, if I'm paying less than I kind of look at it like this: if I pay less for a game than I would for a movie ticket, and I get more than 6 hours out of it, then I've beat the curve.
That's an excellent point, actually.
Yeah, if I spend $10 on a game and I get more than 5 hours out of playing it, then I've beat the curve, so to speak, on like what I would be, sort of playing otherwise.
A really great and optimistic way to look at that, actually.
Yeah. Obviously, the problematic sort of curve comes into play when you're paying, $60 for a game you play for 5 hours. That's not so great. But hey, in the world of Steam, there's that possibility of really hitting those $10 morsels that are really good and life changing. So that's all good. Even the $20 ones. I have my own. I've been buying video games for as long as Steam has been around. Back when Steam was a huddled together pile of ash and servers. Back in 2004. When Half-Life 2 was just barely an excited sort of early Christmas present to the world. I've been buying games since then, and oh man, have I been burned. But I've also seen, some great stuff happen on it too. And, all in all, I'm thankful for Steam.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like that they've, eventually, of course, evolved into what we know as the Netflix of video games, pretty much, except here you buy them, and you don't pay a monthly fee. So actually, it's nothing like Netflix. But, it's the kind of centralized video game hub as far as I'm concerned, because it is the best and has most of it. Other crap like, Battle.net or Origin, that shit sucks, so that's just...
Hey, Battle.net is very optimized and makes a lot of sense for the Blizzard platform.
Sure, but, it's only Blizzard games.
Yeah, but, hey, do you have Blizzard games you don't like? Because I don't.
I was going to say, you mentioned, I'm thinking, like, have I ever played a Blizzard game that I was like, this sucks? I don't think so. I think...
Yeah, there's Blizzard games you don't play. That's basically what it is. There's Blizzard games you don't have time for, and there's Blizzard games you don't play, but there's really you don't have Blizzard games you don't like.
I don't know if I've enjoyed a Blizzard game as much as the last time I played Diablo 3, but
okay,
that's hard to compete with.
That was your ceiling?
But,
okay.
Because, again, as you know, I like StarCraft 2, but it was not the experience that the original StarCraft was for me.
Yeah, that's consistent, but StarCraft 2 was really good still.
StarCraft 2 was really good, but Diablo 3 did a lot for the genre,
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, I feel like, can we discredit Blizzard for failing to outdo Blizzard?
Yeah, yes.
Because I feel like we end up in this argument with Bethesda a lot in the kind of New Vegas versus Fallout 4 sort of arrangements. Oh, yeah. Also, we have had some absolutely bonkers good times on Heroes of the Storm. I know that because I've seen you lose your mind.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm is pretty fun. Obviously, yeah. Overwatch could be better, but it's still like one of the best, first-person shooters in that way.
One of the most approachable, certainly.
I know it's hard to say anything bad against Blizzard. They're definitely...
That's kind of my point. I'm not saying you have to love everything that they've had. I'm just saying that it's really hard to hate them.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense that they have their own launch platform. I really hate the Blizzard app name change because it's not, I don't know if you know this, but it's not Battle.net anymore.
Yeah.
It's Blizzard app.
Blizzard.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I think it was somebody that was like their crusade in a boardroom meeting to make it topical and relevant to the current buzzwords. It didn't need to change. Battle.net is classic and a staple within gaming. It was fine. Didn't need to change. So that's cool. I don't know. We've been over an hour since the last dip out. So let's you want to do our question time?
Oh yeah, that's a good point because I'm like, oh, we've only been going for 43 minutes, but I forgot that we had that we've probably been going for a while because I forgot about that dip out.
Oh yeah, I see us as 52 minutes on our end. So,
okay, shoot. All right, yeah. Why don't you choose some questions?
But I didn't close it down after the thing, so in reality, it's been about 52. So that's all good. All right, folks, let your questions fly. I'll be we'll be selecting them out of the thing. I answered one question already in chat, and that was Danny Creeper asking how many Steam games do I have, and that answer is 320.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then another probably 20 Origin games and all of the Blizzard games, so all the BattleNet games. So about knocking on 350. We'll see exactly how long that is. What do you know? I'm back to being a Steam icon. That's really cool.
Checking
That's
mine.
super nice.
On this computer I have about 40 installed. On my desktop I think I have about 100 installed.
Okay.
So I'm only about a third of where you are, but that's because I don't know. Arguably, like you said, you've been using Steam since its inception. I've only really been using Steam
literally since the day it came out. Yeah.
I've only been really using Steam for maybe no. Wait a minute. No, I'm thinking. I have to think about which relationship I was in when I started using Steam. I guess I've been using Steam for about 6 years, but maybe
it wasn't the good one. I'll tell you
that. No, because God, what was? I guess you know what. Doesn't matter. It's still a lot of games. I forgot what my point was. Steam's great. That's all. Steam's great.
Yeah, right. Much agreed. So there's probably a real quick. I can already tell this is probably going to be a one-word answer, but Doki Doki Literature Club. Have you played it?
No.
That's what I thought. All right. I haven't even heard of it, to be perfectly frank. Justin Castro is asking if we're going to get PUBG on console. I'm not, for two reasons. Most importantly, I don't own a console. Well, I own a Switch, but I don't own, a console that would run PUBG. Second of all,
I already have PUBG on PC, so I don't know why I would get it on a console.
Also, I'm super dumb with thumb and stick controls. I can barely win with the precision of a mouse and keyboard already. I'm not about to shoot myself in the foot, so...
Oh, wait. His question was, you think we'll ever get PUBG on a console? And the answer is, well, yeah, because it's already on Xbox One. So I think you meant, is it going to come to consoles? And the answer is, it has already come to consoles.
Yes, it is available on Xbox One as of the 1.0 release. Please be patient with it. It sounds like the Xbox release has been a little rough, but it's going to get better. Just give it some time. This is a very small team dealing with a very large sequence of releases. So they've got something cool here, and I think I'm confident it will stabilize on the Xbox. But at the time being, it is a little messy. Jump in at your leisure. But yes, Xbox One players can play PUBG. That's all good.
To answer Marty Man's question, if somebody actually finished a Fallout 4 mod that had legitimate levels that you play in a Mario fashion, I mean, of course I'll play it,
Yeah, I would play that too. Jeez, yeah, if someone put in the probably 900 man hours necessary to make that happen, hell yeah, I would.
I'm going to. It's hard to say. Obviously I would play it. I was going to make some off-color joke about Fallout 4, but there's no... Here's where I'm at, guys. Here's where I'm at. Here's what I've decided as of, this week. I recently replayed all of, when I say all, I mean since Fallout 3, because I have tried to replay Fallout 1 and 2 recently, and it's not going to happen. It just, I'm like, oh, this was great 10 years ago, but, So, where I'm at now is, I think New Vegas is still my favorite. Then I'm gonna have to put Fallout 4 and then Fallout 3. I've reversed Fallout 3 and 4 because
I feel like that's where it belongs.
Yeah, I was initially very, very stubborn about putting Fallout 4 above Fallout 3 because I do think that I still think Fallout 3 has the better story. But as far as overall gameplay goes, I think that Fallout 4 just nailed a lot of great stuff. Now I do think that New Vegas already perfected it. maybe Fallout 4 simplified a lot of stuff, but you can't deny that Fallout 4 really nails that gunplay, and gunplay is very important to Fallout. So it just kind of checks and balances, gotta get the good with the bad, and I think that overall Fallout 4 is definitely more accessible. I'm just gonna always love New Vegas for the desert, So
Yeah, that's fair.
That's where I'm at until they make another one like that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think it's worth a quick mention that what is it? Marty Man was pointing out how PUBG should come to the Switch. It does not belong on the Switch.
Oh,
Let's just say that.
Do you want your Switch to explode?
Yeah,
that's what'll happen.
Do you want to use your Switch to cook some mac and cheese? Because that's what will happen. It's just not in a position where it could ever happen, let alone Nintendo ever agreeing to something like that. So, that's all good. And yeah, all these good Fallout 4 mod ideas. Hook me up with a modder. I don't know how to make Fallout 4 mods. Presumably people do. So that's all good. Justin Castro asks what I think is a very, very good question that's worth some time. Most anticipated game of 2018.
I think that probably our next episode will probably deal with that topic ad nauseum, because that'll be I think that's going to be the last Thursday of the year, right? Yeah, next week is the last Thursday of the year, and we should definitely talk about our most anticipated games of 2018. Right now, I'm super blanking on the game. I think we said 2 weeks ago what I was anticipating next year, and now I can't think of any of them.
I'll name a few. I don't want to trot into next week's topic too much, but I'm excited for Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3 looks really good. I really enjoyed the shit out of Crackdown 2, despite the fact that it is an absolute cheeseball of a game. Biomutant has my attention. I don't know that I've seen enough from it to really merit a really that is going to be good sort of thing, but Biomutant has my attention for sure. I guess 2018 might be the year we see Kingdom Hearts 3.
No.
Maybe.
It might be the year we see another trailer for it.
Yeah, that's fair. The new Spider-Man game, which I believe is confirmed,
Spider-Man.
He looks incredible.
Hella awesome.
So that's cool. That's good.
CD Projekt Red, that game not coming out next year?
Hell no, dude.
Coming in the next 5?
Yeah, it's done when it's done. Cyberpunk 2025 or 2055 or whatever the hell it is going to be probably still in the oven a little while longer.
It'll come out in 2055.
If you want to see, I believe Star Citizen, which is the just oddest game in developmental history, and will literally be one of two things: the greatest video game that anybody has ever made, or the greatest video game scam of all time. And I'm not sure which one it is yet, but they've got new footage featuring Mark Hamill's character, because Mark Hamill is officially involved in the project now. So if you're a Mark Hamill fan, you can go check out some of that new delicious Mark Hamill voice acting that's done on Star Citizen that looks really good. As to it not being a total hack, I don't know yet, but there's some interesting tidbits of game happening here. So that's all good.
I mean, there's definitely things I would like to see happen, but they're not going to happen by next year. Definitely, Nintendo is definitely a company that announces when they're developing their games at least a year ahead of time, and we pretty much already know what's coming out for them, because I see in the comments people are hoping for Metroid, and I was definitely hoping for a Pokemon game on the Switch. But I don't think we're really going to get
probably
any
2019. I don't think they're in a position to do that.
I think at this point, Smash Bros is probably one of the most popular series that Nintendo has, and I think it's very silly that they have not released one for the Switch yet. But they got to sell.
Oh yeah, I would have put that. Launch month.
Yeah.
But we got Odyssey instead, which is obviously a work of art, so that's really good. I was thinking that clearly. We've been putting off this Kingdom Hearts 3 release. Now that Disney owns Fox, we can finally get that Hank Hill appearance in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, the interesting thing about Kingdom Hearts is that we barely got any Pixar references until the spin-offs, really. Like, I think maybe Woody and Buzz were summons in Kingdom Hearts 2. I can't remember, but it's like they've been very like slow to even put in those characters, and they've owned Marvel for
Pixar for a minute.
Well, they've owned Pixar for about 10 years now. They've owned Marvel and Lucasfilm for about 5 years. And we have really yet to see any Lucasfilm or Marvel in Kingdom Hearts. I would be extremely doubtful to see anything from the 20th Century Fox in Kingdom Hearts 3 at all. Especially since that would just add more unnecessary development time to the already incredibly inflated development schedule.
It's getting stupid at this point.
I mean, I feel like I've already ranted enough about Square and their shit, so it's not necessary. Just know that it's fucked.
It's a lot. State of Decay, Metro Exodus, both great looking games. I'm gonna go ahead and say that right now Anthem is nothing special to me, despite the fact that it's a developer that I usually my first impressions of Anthem were pretty good, but I don't know. I don't feel great about Anthem. That's the one from the old the revival from the old Mass Effect team.
Yeah, the old Mass Effect team, the good Mass Effect team.
Right, but I don't know. Anthem hasn't shown a lot from me yet that doesn't look like anything all that unique. I think it'll be good. But
maybe that
I don't think
whole
it'll be great.
thing is just done.
maybe safe development and really safe and not procedural. What was the formulaic development on AAA titles is kind of the risk management law of the land now, especially with developers like EA.
Defender X says, "How about Far Cry 5? Why don't you watch the beginning of this video?"
Yes, we talked a lot about Far Cry 5, but I think Far Cry 5 looks great. I think we're going to see a lot of the same systems in play that we saw in Far Cry 4, and I think that's okay. I'm curious to see what they do with vehicles. I like those plane sequences. Just looks like it's going to be better polished Fallout 4.
Do you know what?
Yeah, I did it. I did it now too. Far Cry 4.
Yeah,
better polished Far Cry 4.
When we're talking about both, it's easy to, say the wrong thing. Do we have a street date for Far Cry 5?
No, or I don't.
I don't.
One sec. Let's see. Far Cry 5 release date. March 27th, 2018.
Okay, well then that has just been added to my list of most look forward to games then.
Okay, very good. Yeah, with its weird, definitely not Mormonism cult uprising thing that it's got going on. Whatever that weird Judeo-Christian cult, some revolution stuff is.
Yeah.
Whatever, it'll be great.
I mean, obviously, again, we'll go into more details next week when we go into details about our most look forward to games. We'll probably also save some time at the end to talk about games that we wish were coming out. Because for me, of course, it would be a Star Wars game made by anyone else other than EA. But, that probably wouldn't be
yeah. Good luck. Well, I don't know. I'd be willing to hold out there for Bethesda. And honestly, yeah, unfortunately, Battlefront 2 was just dropped. So, they're going to milk that for a little while. And then, before another development cycle even starts. So, we're a little ways out from another big Star Wars release. It's sorry to say. Might as well. I mean, for those
if it doesn't happen by July, and when I say it, I mean if Disney does not relinquish the license by July, I'm pretty sure that they'll give EA another chance, because 6 months is what they would need to really get like anything going from anything else. And I mean, that's bare minimum. The average video game takes about 5 years to make, but you can get a game made in 6 months if you really try. So
right, let's use what was the recent Mass Effect? Andromeda. Andromeda was made in somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 months.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. The Han Solo movie comes out in May, and then which is Star Wars movies always used to come out in May. It's only been since Disney acquired it they've been coming out in December. So Solo comes out in May, and then Episode 9 doesn't come out until December of 2019.
Wait, Solo comes out in May of next year?
That's right. It's only 6 months away. Yep.
What? There's no way they could be far enough along on that.
Oh, they're almost done. Like they did those reshoots quick as a kitten, and then
right.
the release date has always been May 2018, and they have never changed that. So unless they make an announcement soon, it's still going to be May 2018. And I just saw the poster for it I was at the movie theater the other day, and they've already put up the posters that still say May 18th. So I think they're good.
I will say that it's the most uneasy I've felt about a Star Wars release.
Oh, there is a 50-50 chance the Solo movie is total crap. Sadly.
It's the one that, I mean, at this point, I'm going to go in with low expectations, and if they are at all satisfied. But, oh, man, you know, like, after the controversy surrounding Last Jedi, I was really hoping for a big win from the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
To kind of come out of that. Now, that being said, I did enjoy Last Jedi, but I understand the controversy associated with it. And obviously the main trilogy will recover and will get back on track for its finale. But this is going to be a tough one, you know, to see Last Jedi, which was received with mixed results, somewhat deservingly, to a Solo movie that I'm not feeling super confident about, does make me squirm a little.
Right. So, with that being said, that means that between Solo and Episode 9, there's a year and a half there where, you know, I feel like that would be a good time for Disney to put the game license in someone else's hands, because then that game studio would have at least a year and a half to develop something that could be released concurrently with Episode 9. If
that Naughty Dog Solo game that I literally just exists in my imagination.
Yeah, or literally anything. I'm just saying, like, right now, or maybe, you know, give it a couple of months to kind of ease away from Battlefront and Episode 8 and everything. But I'm just saying, if they haven't done anything by July, it won't happen. But I hope that we hear an announcement in like a few months that Disney is transferring the license to a different game company, because I think now would be a really smart time to do that. Unless they want to have another inevitably horrible Battlefront 3 experience, you know? So it's up to them, of course, but if I was Disney, I'd be like, it's time.
If I felt like EA was really changing its tune, I might feel differently, but I don't. Like, literally, EA faced down this huge debacle, a huge stock drop, all this controversy, social media hatred bar none, and turned around and immediately released another game, their UFC game with loot crates in it. And they really showed no sign of slowing down on that. It's probably just the norm for them now. And I get it. Development cycles are hard and video games are expensive to produce. But we've seen that cosmetic loot crates can make money.
Right, money for EA. But if I'm Disney and I saw the damage of Battlefront 2, the fan reaction to Episode 8, and probably the negative critic reaction to the Han Solo movie coming up, I'd be like, what can we do to fix our brand? Step 1, get rid of EA. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's got to be that somebody, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, they've got to be thinking it somewhere in the back of their head that maybe EA was the wrong choice. So they. I
mean, yeah. I don't know what the alternative was at the time, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so that's probably going. I would say in 2018, I'm going to say there's a 60% chance in 2018 we see Star Wars leave EA. How about you?
I can jump on board with 60%.
60%. Okay, so
yeah, that sounds like a great guess.
So yeah, so I would say that it's more likely to happen than not.
More likely than not, but not assured.
Right. So if 2019 rolls around and it's still with EA, I'll be not that surprised, but disappointed.
We're getting another EA game at that point, though.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So we'll see. All right. Well, is there anything else that needs to be answered, Garrett, or?
Nah, my voice is giving out. I was gonna say, let's cut this off, my dude.
All right. All right, guys. I really hope that you've enjoyed Video Game Talk, whether this is part 1 or 2, depending on that whole cutoff thing. Doesn't matter. Subscribe to Rich Alvarez channel, and if you already are subscribed, hit that bell for notifications. Watch us every Thursday for Video Game Talk. Stay tuned next week for when we discuss our most anticipated games of 2018. I'm Rich.
And I'm Garrett. You can find me on Complaint Department on Twitch. That's all I got. That's my project.
Cool. Well, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.